Emily lived in a small, cozy cottage surrounded by a lush garden that she tended to with dedication and care. Every flower, every bush was a testament to the love she poured into that space, a reflection of the tranquility she found in nature. Widowed for 5 years, Emily found her joy in the occasional visits from her daughter Anna and son-in-law Peter, moments that warmed her heart. They lived in the city, always rushed and immersed in the commitments of urban life, but when they visited, Emily's home was filled with life. One afternoon, Emily received an unexpected call from Anna. Her daughter's voice sounded different, tired and laden with worry. "Mom, Peter and I are going through a tough time. Can we stay with you for a few days?" Emily's heart tightened with the anguish she heard in Anna's words, but her response was immediate and full of warmth. "Of course, my dear, come. This house is always yours. My home will always be open to you." The next day, as evening fell, Anna and Peter arrived carrying heavy luggage, not just of belongings but of weary looks and shoulders hunched under the weight of their concerns. Emily welcomed them with a warm embrace, wrapping them in her comforting energy, trying to convey all her strength and love. She immediately sensed that something was deeply wrong, but chose not to press. She knew, with the wisdom of her years, that it was better to wait until they were ready to open up. During the first few days, Emily watched with attentive eyes and a heavy heart as the distance between Anna and Peter grew. There was a tension in the air that was almost palpable, as if a dense silence filled the spaces between them. Determined to help, Emily decided to act in her subtle and loving way, the way she always used to nurture wounded hearts. She prepared a special dinner, carefully choosing both of their favorite dishes, creating a warm and welcoming atmosphere in the dining room, softly lit by candles whose flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the walls. That night, as the aroma of dinner filled the room and they shared the meal, Emily began to talk about something very dear to her: her garden. "You know, the garden has taught me a lot about life," she said in a calm and reflective tone. "Sometimes plants seem to be dying, dried up and lifeless, but with a little care, attention, and love, they bloom again, stronger and more beautiful." Anna, who had kept her eyes downcast until then, looked up at her mother, her tear-filled eyes reflecting the pain she had tried to hide. "Mom, we're going through a crisis in our marriage," Anna confessed, her voice breaking with emotion. "The pressure from work, financial problems, all of it is driving us apart." Peter, who had remained silent, finally found the strength to speak, his voice thick with a mix of sadness and regret. "We just can't communicate like we used to. It feels like we're losing the connection that once held us together." With a gentle gesture, Emily took both of their hands, joining them in a firm, loving grip. "Love is like a garden," she said with serene conviction. "It needs constant care, attention, and affection to grow and flourish. You came here seeking peace, and I believe this is the right place to rediscover what truly matters in your life and relationship." Emily's words struck deep in Anna and Peter's hearts, planting the seed of hope and renewal. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but there, in that small country cottage, surrounded by the quiet love Emily nurtured in her garden, they felt that it was possible to bloom again. In the days that followed, Emily decided to involve Anna and Peter in the garden tasks, something she knew could be more than just an activity to pass the time. Each morning began with the three of them together, their bodies bent over the rich soil, planting, watering, and tending to the flowers that filled the garden with life and color. This simple, peaceful activity created an environment where they could talk without rush, without the pressure of responsibilities and worries they had left behind in the city. It was a moment of pause where every gesture, every exchange of words, helped to rebuild the bonds that seemed to have weakened. One morning, while they were kneeling in the soft soil, planting new flower seedlings that promised to fill the garden with vibrant colors in the coming season, Peter gave Anna a nostalgic look, accompanied by a shy smile that almost resembled that of a young man in love. "Do you remember our first apartment?" he asked, his voice tinged with a soft melancholy. "We had that little plant pot that always died because we kept forgetting to water it." Anna laughed, the memory bringing a lightness to her heart that she hadn't felt in a long time. "Yes," she replied with a playful smile, "and you always tried to revive it with too much water, as if that would solve all our problems. That exchange, though simple, brought to the surface a piece of the love they had once shared, and that still existed, just dormant. As the days passed, the quiet magic of Emily's garden began to take effect in ways they couldn't have predicted. The arguments that once seemed inevitable gave way to sincere conversations, filled with understanding and patience. The awkward silences, which so often felt like a barrier between them, were replaced by laughter that echoed through the garden, carrying a new sense of hope. Gradually, Anna and Peter began to reconnect, rediscovering the reasons they had fallen in love, and finding new strength to face together the challenges that had driven them apart. On a starry night, when the sky seemed like a vast black velvet blanket dotted with sparkling diamonds, Anna and Peter found themselves in the garden once more. They were holding hands, the cool night air enveloping them in a silent embrace. Peter, with a look that mixed determination and vulnerability, took Anna's hand more firmly. "I want to try again," he said, his voice low but full of conviction. "With everything we've got. Let's water our love like we water these plants, with care and attention." Anna, feeling tears well up in her eyes, nodded with an emotional smile. "I want that too, Peter. Let's face this together, as we always should have." Emily, watching from a distance with a mix of pride and relief, felt her heart fill with joy. She knew the garden had been more than a metaphor. It had become a powerful tool for restoring the love and understanding between her daughter and son-in-law. The plants they had cared for together had become a symbol of their own ability to care for each other, to heal wounds, and to nurture the connection that had been lost. When it was time to return to the city, Anna and Peter were different, with a renewed sparkle in their eyes and a stronger, deeper bond. They said goodbye to Emily with tight hugs and sincere promises to visit more often, not just in times of crisis, but also to share happy moments, creating new memories together. As she watched them leave, Emily felt a deep and lasting peace. She knew that the love between Anna and Peter had been restored, that, like the flowers in her garden, they had bloomed again, with roots stronger and deeper than ever before. A few months had passed since Anna and Peter's comforting visit to Emily's house. The couple's life in the city was gradually getting back on track, thanks to the time they spent in the countryside, where the silence of nature and the warmth of memories provided them the space needed to reclaim the essence of their relationship. The ongoing effort to improve communication and strengthen their partnership, rebuilding the foundations of the love that once united them, was becoming evident in every small gesture of affection they shared. One afternoon, while Anna was attending a work conference in another city, Peter received an unexpected call from Emily. Her voice sounded calm and full of tenderness, as always, and she casually mentioned that she had some new ideas about the garden, suggestions that could be helpful in further assisting the couple in reconnecting and keeping the flame of love alive. Peter, feeling immensely grateful for everything Emily had already done for them, decided that this was an excellent opportunity for a quick visit, taking advantage of the free time he had to listen to the advice she had always been so good at giving. When he arrived at Emily's cozy house, he was greeted with the same warm hospitality that always characterized visits to that place. The aroma of a simple homemade dinner filled the air, and the table was set with a care that was evident in every detail. They sat together at the table, where the food served was just an excuse for an enriching conversation. As they enjoyed the meal, Peter realized how Emily had a gift for balancing wisdom and humor in every word, a combination that made her presence incredibly comforting, as if time spent with her could heal any wound. After dinner, Emily suggested they open a bottle of wine, and so they did. With glasses in hand, they sat on the porch, where the cool night air and the soft glow of the moon illuminated the garden that had witnessed so many happy memories. The conversation flowed naturally, moving from one memory to another, touching on stories from Anna's childhood, tales about Emily's late husband, whom Peter respected so much, and the challenges he and Anna were facing in their journey together. The bond between them grew with each glass of wine, as if that exchange of confidences was, in itself, an act of healing. As the hours passed, and after a few glasses of wine that warmed both body and soul, Peter began to feel more relaxed, as if the weight of the problems he carried had dissipated in the gentle breeze blowing through the garden. Feeling the need to express his gratitude, he looked into Emily's eyes and said sincerely, "Emily, you've really helped us find our way back to each other. I'm so grateful for that. Without your guidance, we might not have been able to reconnect so deeply." Emily smiled, a smile that reflected the warmth of her soul, but Peter noticed a shadow of melancholy that quickly hid in her eyes. "Peter," she began, her voice a mix of sweetness and firmness, "true love is rare and precious, a gem that must be cared for with tenderness and patience. I will always do whatever I can to help my daughter, and you preserve it because I know how valuable it is and how much you both deserve to be happy." As the night progressed, the atmosphere in Emily's house grew more intimate, enveloped by a tranquil silence that was only broken by the distant chirping of crickets. The soft glow of the moon, filtered through the window curtains, cast dancing shadows on the walls, creating a warm and almost magical ambience. Peter, feeling emotionally vulnerable from the mix of wine and the sincerity of the conversation he had with Emily, began to share more deeply about his own insecurities, fears, and the pressures he carried in his marriage with Anna. Every word he spoke seemed to bear the weight of months of doubts and uncertainties, and Emily, with the patience and understanding that had always been her hallmark, listened attentively, offering words of comfort and wisdom that touched his heart. In a moment of silence that seemed to stretch into eternity, their eyes met, and there was a palpable tension in the air, a subtle electricity that both felt but neither dared to name. Peter, feeling overwhelmed by a confusion of emotions and the influence of the wine coursing through his veins, hesitated, caught between a sudden desire and the morality he had been striving to maintain all along. Emily, sensing what was happening inside him, gently stood up, her expression a blend of tenderness and firmness. "Peter," she said softly but with steady conviction, "you are a good person and a great husband to my daughter. Let's end this night with respect and affection for what we've built together, keeping the integrity of the love you and Anna share." Emily went to bed, retreating to the comfort of her room, while Peter, still troubled by the conflicting emotions swirling within him, stayed in the guest room, where darkness and silence were his only companions. In the middle of the night, in a moment that seemed out of time, Emily, deep in sleep, felt someone embrace her from behind, the warmth of a strong, masculine body wrapping around her in a comforting and unexpected gesture. The touch was familiar, but it carried an intensity that fully awakened her. As she turned slightly, she realized it was Peter, his body trembling slightly with a mix of emotions and desire. In that instant, all thoughts of resistance melted away, and Emily, unable to fight against the wave of sensations overwhelming her, surrendered to the moment, forgetting any consequences, any sense of morality. The warmth, the connection forming between them, seemed inevitable and irresistible. Peter, on his part, was sweating and breathing heavily, each of his breaths echoing in the silence of the night, while Emily reveled in what the night was about to bring. The world beyond those walls ceased to exist, and in their thoughts, there was no room for Anna, only for the intensity of the moment they were sharing. Reflections like these make us think about the limits of desire and the consequences of our actions. How do you think Anna would react if she knew what happened? And Peter, do you think he'll be able to live with this secret? And what about Emily? Do you think she did the right thing by giving in to her emotions and betraying her own daughter? What do you think she should have done? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to know what you would do in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to stay updated on our upcoming tales of forbidden love and passion.